Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Avoiding Broke podcast. It's me, Jermaine. Hope you're having a great Sunday. So, guys, one thing that's made a massive difference to us, how well we've run our financial lives, some of the decisions that we've been able to make, is what we call the financial foundation. And it's almost like something we do like as a ritual at the beginning of every year, is to think about what are the key financial decisions and commitments we're going to have? How can we best address them as early as possible? And then what options can we build off the back of it? It's proven to be really powerful, because what it does is it gets your mind thinking really clearly, really clinically about what you have to do, almost how successful you have to be, how disciplined you have to be, and then you get a platform to grow. So just to give you an example of a few different things that could be in your financial commitments, right? And form part of that foundation layer. Now, we're all going to have things like property, where we live, be it rent, be it a mortgage payment, whatever it is. Most of us have got that commitment. So when you look at it, think about how much it's going to set you back. That's an amount that you've got to be able to come up with. You've got to make sure you are generating on a consistent basis. So you've got no choices, it's got to be done. You've then got other standard expenses, food, petrol, gas, utilities, you name it, you've got those expenses. But I mean the really important ones. To do, just think about like food, clothing, utilities, transportation. You've got that cost, you've got that commitment. And what you want in the foundation is to know that you have got enough to cover a doubling of price even. That's how we think about it. Because if you've got enough to cover the cost of petrol doubling or your food cost doubling, or if you know how to adjust your life if the cost of food doubles, it means that when stuff is happening outside and it's all out of your control, you're not going to start getting worried about it. And it's a really important one, because we've seen a lot of people recently, if you just take your minds back, they have been worrying and fretting with petrol prices going up, with gas bills going up, with food bills going up. What it suggests is that they haven't got enough room in their foundation to absorb the cost of those things. And ideally, that's the kind of forward planning you want to try to do. And when you're planning, if you feel you haven't got enough room, that's got to be an indicator to the fact that you've got to either go and earn more or spend less somewhere, because you're trying to get your house in order before problems really hit. Another big part of the foundation is an assessment you do about stuff that you don't really need to spend money on. So you look at the fact that you might go out, I don't know if you go clubbing, expensive gym memberships, the amount of times you eat out, and you start to try to make decent decisions around those things. Like, nobody really needs an expensive gym membership when you can probably buy a kettlebell for $30, or you can just go for a walk or a run, just do some push-ups. You don't need a gym membership. Nobody really needs the latest phone. You can easily make do with different technology, even if just for a period of time. You don't need to have a brand new car. Buy an old one, drive it into the ground. These are all simple things that very wealthy people do very consistently. But it seems to be the case that it's not done all the time. Have a look at them. Think about how you can change those non-essential spend habits and put extra money in that foundation. Another massive thing that people talk about a lot more nowadays is having some kind of financial safety net, like a buffer, a rainy day fund. Now, if you listen to someone like Dave Ramsey, he'd talk about starting at the first $1,000, and that's like a really good target to have. But as your life grows and it gets more complicated, you've got to think a little bit differently, because you're going to start thinking, I want to have at least 1 month's mortgage payment. Then you might start thinking, I want to have at least 1 month's salary. Then it grows to 3 months' salary. If you've got kids, you might grow it some more. And so you can see the amount of money you need to kind of sleep better at night. It starts increasing as your life gets more complicated, as you get more commitments. And so it's important to think about how you're going to grow that safety net, how you're going to grow that essential pot that you don't touch, you almost forget about it, but it's there to protect you if something unexpected happens. Again, it's something that wealthy people do very consistently. And it's just so important to make sure, because you don't want to be worrying about what happens if my car breaks down. You don't want to have the constant fear on your shoulder about what happens if I lose my job. This safety net is designed to alleviate some of that stress, which then helps you remain productive, focused, creative. So they really go hand in hand. Guys, these are some of the key adjustments that we think about making at the beginning of the year. Another actually important one I should add in there is leisure. It's things like family holidays, family time together. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but it's got to be something that you as a unit value, your time away together. It doesn't have to be expensive at all. You could just go out and walk as a family for free. But it's making sure you put enough time and effort as well into that essential time with your loved ones. If you've got a partner, if you've got kids, it's committing that time as well. The time and investment you make in your personal health so you can stay fit, active. That generates so many positive things in terms of how you are as a person. Your fitness gives you more energy. You become a happier person, so you're better to work with. It's a virtuous cycle. And these things, they all go in your foundation. And you might think, well, why does being fit lead to a financial outcome? Well, because if you're fit, you're going to work longer so you can generate more opportunities. If you're fit, your brain's going to be more open, more creative, so you can generate more outcomes. If you're fit, you're probably going to be happier because you're releasing BDNF, which is a happiness hormone. So you're probably going to be better to work with. And all those things, they can easily translate into more wealth and positivity in your financial lives. They definitely have for us. And so that's kind of my takeaway this Sunday, guys. It's really reflecting on that. Some of it's been triggered by the fact that despite working really late on a personal improvement project yesterday, we're up really early today building a boat with Theo. And it's that balance that actually it translates into who I am as a person, which then in turn probably helps with some of the recent successes that we've been having in our business life and in our employment life and in our investment life. All of these things, they all come back to who the individual is behind them and the individual you need to become wealthier. And that's part of the journey. So just think about that foundation. Think about how we put those different blocks in place and how we assess our core commitments about housing, core commitments about running our house, like utility, transportation, food, water, all of those things. How do we assess that? How are we covered for it? Think about what we don't need to spend money on and think about reining it back in to make sure we've got more excess to go elsewhere. Look at things like the emergency fund, appreciating the more we go through life, the more successful we become, is the bigger that emergency fund needs to be. So thinking about how to grow that consistently. Looking at our personal development and our family time as well. And again, thinking about how to invest in that. It's a series of decisions and investments that you make, but you can make them upfront. So every year we do an end of year stock take on the 31st of December, and we set some goals for the next year ahead. And then we build that foundation and say what needs to be in place, roughly by when, to make our hopes start coming to fruition. What do we need? And sometimes we don't know. Sometimes the truth is we've got to look and say, what do we want to achieve and what's the first step? And then you've got to have a bit of faith that you take that first step and then you can adapt to what comes next. It all leads towards the same outcome though, which is trying to grow as a person capable of being wealthier, a person capable of having the discipline to be wealthy, having the discipline to kind of not spend when you don't need to, the discipline to save when you may not realize why, the discipline to invest cautiously, but when you do make those investments, they can be big. It's having that broad range of disciplines and building what we're calling that foundation. And if you get it right, and I can share with you from the last couple of years, if you get it right, I think you can achieve more than you may even have realized was possible, because it all starts compounding, it all starts growing, and it builds on top of itself. And the outcomes can be pretty amazing. So guys, good luck with your financial foundations. Drop us a comment and let us know how you get on. Let us know what you put in those foundations when you're planning for the years ahead. I'd love to hear about how you think about that year-on-year growth. And even if you're struggling, how are you pulling out a plan to try to get yourself to struggle less, to help yourself grow more? Please do share. We'll come back to you as quickly as possible as ever, and have a phenomenal week ahead. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, take care.